Hey, what's going on? All right, so you're here and we are ready to go through this webinar blueprint. And this being the first episode of Jeremy's Challenge and the very first lesson of Jeremy's Challenge, showing you kind of like what's working for me. I'm going to give out a special little bonus at the end of this, so be prepared. All right. So let's go ahead and go through my webinar blueprint. This is what I did, and I've done this every time that I want to do a webinar and make some money or bring somebody into my business. And the thing is about webinars is if you haven't done them, I understand they're a little scary, and most people are scared that they might mess up or whatever. But let me be honest with you right now. I've done about 25 to 30 webinars um, and maybe this year. And I don't do webinars that much. I actually just got into them this year, like towards the end of the year. And what it is that it wasn't that I was scared of them. It's just that I didn't know how to do them. And my very first webinar, uh, I had a huge mistake happen. And basically what I was doing, I was selling my top of YouTube course, which is closed off to the public now. I won't even sell it to you privately for $1,000. But basically what happened was I did a webinar teaching people how to rank their videos on YouTube, number one in the number one, number two spot. And I basically went through and did this webinar, and then I came back to answer any questions, and I did an excellent job on this presentation. I'm talking about I was flowing through it. I didn't have any problems, wasn't stuttering or anything. I was just going through this entire presentation. It was going great. Come back to the questions, and basically what happened was I forgot to share my screen. I did not show my presentation at all, and everybody was still on the webinar listening, waiting, for me to share my screen. I had about 1 million messages, and they're basically saying, hey, Jeremy, show your screen. Your screen's not sharing. Your screen's not sharing. And that's basically what happened. But here's the deal. At the very end of the webinar, still, after I went through the pitch and everything, I still made about $500. I closed 6% of sales off a webinar that was basically an audio course, audio teleseminar. With that being my problem, I still made $500. So if you're scared you might mess up, I don't think anything worse can happen to you than not showing your screen the entire time. I mean, maybe your mic might cut out, but they have notifications all over the place for your mic cutting out. So you know that you will always have audio, and then you can have a backup call in on a telephone or something. So if you're scared of doing webinars, do not be scared, seriously, because they are the most profitable thing working right now, and this is how you can bring a lot of people into your business with ease. And I'm just telling you, I'm going to go ahead and get into the presentation. I just want you to know, do not be scared of webinars because they are so powerful. So let's go ahead and dive into this blueprint. And it says how to use webinars to recruit without selling. When I say without selling, I mean you're going to sell a little bit, but you're not going to sell as hard as you would if you got on the webinar. It's like, here's a business opportunity meeting, because those are boring. And you really got to push somebody over the edge, get them to actually look into your business. So the things you'll need a slideshow presentation, webinar service, free or paid. You'll need a microphone or a telephone to call in. And then you need people on the webinar. That's pretty important, that last one. For your slideshow presentation, here are the elements. Number one is, what is the outcome I want from this webinar? Now this is super important, and not a lot of people think about this in this way. And this is the first thing I always think about no matter what I'm doing, whatever project I'm doing or whatever, is what is the outcome I want from this whatever. So what is the outcome you want from this webinar? Is it to get people to opt into your list, to join your business, to give you some money, to whatever? What is the outcome you want from this webinar? And then you work backwards from there. So the basics of this entire webinar is it's going to be a content webinar. You're going to go out and teach whatever you want to teach, whatever you're good at and you can really teach. You're going to teach in this webinar. So for example, I will do a webinar about list building and the elements of list building, how list building works or whatever. And then the next thing is you're going to have a slight pitch about your opportunity or how your opportunity can benefit others more towards the content previously taught in the webinar. So basically what I did is I did a presentation on list building, and I did a really killer presentation on list building and autoresponders or whatever. And I said, if you join my business today, I'm going to teach you how to build your list, and I'm also going to give you a follow-up email series to plug into that you can easily sell the business on autopilot. Basically, you can build your list and make money on autopilot, which is residual income, which is what everybody wants. So I went ahead, I filled in that my opportunity will help you with your list building and making money from your list building, because I taught a method in my list building webinar about what's known as an MOM, not your mom, but a method of monetization, where how you pull money from your list. And I went into how pitching the business opportunity as your method of monetization will help you make more money than anything else. And that's basically how I taught it. Then at the end, we gave out some bonuses for the first few action takers. We were looking for 3 people to join that night, and we're like, here's some bonuses. For the first person, you get this. The second person gets this. The third person gets this, and you all 3 will get this. So you're going to want to give out some bonuses. Then you want to go ahead and add some scarcity to it. What scarcity is basically people making it where they can't think about it forever. Because if somebody thinks they can get around to it later, they won't ever get around to it. If the door's always open, they won't ever walk through it. So the door has to be open till, let's say, midnight. We're only letting people in till midnight. We're looking for those 3 people to get in by midnight tonight. And you tell them where to go, which is your call to action. And you want to say your call to action a couple of different times. And what I mean by call to action is basically the sign up link. And the sign up link, I would recommend shortening it or making it a unique URL or something. Maybe like your website name, like mine would be jeremyschallenge.com/go or something. And you would make that your call to action, so it's easy to type in to the browser, and people can just go there fast, because what this does is cause what's known as a buyer's rush if they're really interested in joining your business and they got a lot out of your webinar. Because if you give out really good content throughout your webinar, people will want to work with you later on, whether it's right now or later on down the road. And what this also does is if you pitch this to your list and you gave it really good content, it's not going to kill the vibe you get and the value that you usually give to your list, because you gave out great value. Now you're trying to sell something. It's not going to be, oh, this guy is always trying to sell me something. It's going to be, hey, here's some really great content, and if you like this and will work with me more, here's how you can do it. So people, whether they join your business or not, they're still getting a lot out of it. So it's not killing the relationship that you have with them. So this is really, really important, just the way I basically lay it out. It's about 50% I would say 60% content, 40% pitch, and then you want to give 2 or 3 call to actions, and always leave the website URL where they can join up on the screen. Then ask for questions. I forgot to put that in there. You want to ask for questions at the end. And then what that does is cause user interaction. And user interaction is super, super important in webinars because it's live and people will have questions. And one of the bigger questions was on my webinar is like, hey, is there any more space left? Think about that. Just think about that for just a second. What if somebody asks you, hey, I want to join, but am I allowed to? Is there still space? Can I get one of those bonuses? What can I do? Think about that. That's super, super powerful. So after you got your slideshow and stuff laid out, you're going to want a webinar service. And there's 2 or 3 different webinar services out there that I would recommend. I've only used 2 personally, and I've been on 2 or 3 different ones. Um, Most popular is obviously GoToWebinar. That's what basically everybody uses, but it is extremely expensive for some people. $99 a month. So, and that holds, I think, 100 people, maybe 1,000. I have no idea. I have GoToWebinar, and that's what I host my webinars from. Then you got AnyMeeting. AnyMeeting is free per year. You don't pay anything. GoToWebinar, the benefits of it is it's smooth and easy to use and connect with the audience. You have the raise hand feature. They can ask you questions. You can personally type back to them or type out to the whole group. It's got a real nice interface. It runs smoothly on your computer. There's not really any bugs or anything with it. And then with AnyMeeting, it has delays. It's got a chat box for the entire room, which I don't necessarily like, because if you only have like 15 people in the webinar and they're all chatting together or whatever, and you want to make it seem like there's a lot of people on there, which there's nothing wrong with only having 10 or 15 people on the webinar, but if you feel like they won't like it because there's only 10 or 15 people on there, chat boxes are kind of annoying. You can turn that off though. I think they allow you to turn it off now. And then there's advertisements on the side. And the bigger thing with AnyMeeting is it has delays. So it's like 4 seconds or 5 seconds behind. So when I talk right now, you'll hear it like 5 seconds later, which is super annoying. Because if you're trying to speed through your presentation, sometimes your voice will mismatch the slides on the screen. So you got to be kind of iffy with that. But AnyMeetings where I got started, and then I moved to GoToWebinar once I could afford it. So, uh, it's your choice. Whichever one fits you better, that's what you need to choose. AnyMeeting, start out with it. It's fine. There's no big deal in it. And you're going to need a microphone or a telephone. And usually if you don't have a computer microphone, I would recommend getting one. You get one from Walmart for about 40 bucks, 30 bucks or something. I think the one I'm using right now is hold on, it's called Planatronics. And I think I got it from Best Buy for 29 bucks. Something super cheap. You can get like a Logitech mic from Walmart, which is like 19 bucks. Uh, and then for webinars, there's always a telephone number where the host can call in and talk. And if that's something that you want to do too, you can do that. All right. Then the next thing you got to do is get people on the webinar. And this is super, super, super important. All right. So you would want to pitch this to your list if you have one. You want to pitch this on Facebook as a status, tweet it, blog about it. And usually you want the webinars to be like how to do this or the secrets to this usually do great for getting people to register and show up. So one of my webinars that I did was how to, I think it was like, it's like how to build a huge, how to easily build a huge list and generate money from it or something. I can't remember the name of it. but it was a how-to, and then I had one on how to generate 101 leads per week or something. So those were mine, just basically basic how-tos. And the ratio for people registering to show up is usually like 40%. So if you have like 100 people register for your webinar, you'll probably only get like 40 or 50 people show up, which is fine. There's no problem with it. If you pitch it too early, if you're pitching a webinar a month down the road from when it actually is, you won't have a high turn up rate. People forget about it. Things come up. Things happen where they won't be able to show up. So what I would recommend, pitch it um, seven 7 days to 3 or 4 days ahead of time. And I've even done same day webinars, which they didn't turn out as great, but the people that were there were really interested. They were like really interactive and really excited to be on there. So I would say at minimum, give it like 3 days promotion, promote it like 3 days ahead of time, but don't go over like a week, because then your show up ratio will drop dramatically, just because things come up. I mean, sometimes people forget that they registered for the webinar, like when they leave to go to work or something, 30 seconds after they registered for the webinar. So you just got to think about how things happen in life, and uh, how can you keep on their schedule. And I would say for webinars, 9 p.m. Eastern time for most people. If you're here in the States, that's usually the best time to do it. Or 10 p.m. Then it's like 10 p.m. Eastern time is usually, it's running a little late, but it's basically average for everybody. Everybody can get on there because it's after work hours or whatever. All right. Then do a slight pitch at the end of the webinar. And basically all that is teaching, and then say, hey, if you guys like this or whatever, here's how my business can help you or whatever. Basically, like I said before, in my list building webinar that I did, I basically said, my business opportunity will help you make more money and help you build a list at the same time. So I went ahead and pre-structured my business opportunity for people that were interested in list building and making money from that list, to uh, make it seem like my business opportunity was perfect for them, which it was, which it is. So that's what I did. So I said, here's an example. So like I said, I've been going through it. My list building presentation was let's say it's how to generate 101 leads a week. All right, I go through all these different methods about how to generate leads or whatever, and I teach about it all the time. The entire webinar, I'm answering questions, being really interactive. Then towards the end, about 30 minutes in, you want your webinars to last about an hour. About 30 or 40 minutes in, go ahead and go into your pitch, and basically just basically say, hey guys, really what I want to do right now is go ahead and show you a way that you can generate 101 leads per week and make more money. And here's how. By joining me in my business, this is how you can actually make money while building your list. And for the first 3 people, this is what you're going to get. And you go on. But you want to be way more detailed than that. You want to go ahead and be benefit oriented the entire time. People feed off benefits, and if you're selling off benefits, then you'll hardly have any restrictions to people actually being feel like they're being sold. They're just going to be like, all right, all right, all right, I see how this can tie into what I got going on or what I want to do. So That's what I did. I want to go ahead and have you guys go ahead and go out and do webinars. So here's the deal. If you go out and do a webinar and go out and do a webinar and get like 20 or 30 people on there, even if it's your first webinar ever, I want you to send me your stats. I want to see how good you did. And if I can get 10 people to send me in their stats, screenshots and just testimonials or whatever about what happened on the webinar, tell me what happened. I'm going to do a live Q&A for 100 people for about an hour. And it'll be a live Q&A webinar, just answering questions or whatever. And uh, if I get 10 people in to send in as soon as I get 10 uh, testimonials about somebody going out and doing a webinar and getting good results from it using this method, I will do a live webinar for everybody, the first 100 people that register for it. So if you want to enter in that contest, all you got to do is do your webinar, write down your stats, what your webinar was about, how many people registered, how many people showed up, and how many people joined your business opportunity or how many people you sold to. All right, send in screenshots if you want, and then just go to the contact form on my blog and just send me the screenshots or send me the stats, or you can actually email me. My email is on the contact form as well if you want to attach pictures. So first 10 people, as soon as I get 10 people doing that, I'll send a message out to everybody and say, hey, let's do a webinar. And I'll let you know 2 or 3 days ahead of time, so you guys can register for the webinar, and we'll do a live Q&A. I'll go ahead and give you guys all my insider secrets or whatever. So with that, this is Jeremy Watson. I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode of Jeremy's Challenge. Go out and use this method. It's really, really powerful. Webinars are in right now. Don't try to automate this at first. Just go out and get comfortable on a webinar and then go from there. So with that, this is Jeremy Watson. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Talk to you guys later.